Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on this gorgeous swatch number 23 of our Swatch Blanket 2021. We are this close, guys. 2 more swatches to go. Get excited. But in the meantime, check this pattern out. Now this was one that we like to call Mary's Choice, but I'm not going to call it that. I'm going to call it something similar to Kittens in a Row. I'm going to call it Hearts in a Row. Now, if you haven't done our Kittens in a Row, check that one out. Is that not gorgeous or what? But in the meantime, we are doing this gorgeous Hearts in a Row. That's what I'm going to call it. Very similar to the Kittens in a Row piece. It's the only thing I can think of for the name. I don't know what it's called, but how gorgeous is it? They look like hearts. And you know, this is the right side of the work, but if you wanted to, you could use the wrong side as well, just for the bubbled effect. Okay, but the right side, how gorgeous does this look? Now, there was another version that I was going to make. It was what I like to call 3D, but it made the piece that thick. And every other piece that we have is a normal size in thickness, the average size, if you will. Even some of your front post and back post stitches, or even your puff stitches as well. This one, if you were doing a 3D version, will come up so big. Now, a 3D version is when you're using 2 yarns at the same time. You're crocheting at the back of your work and the front. It's extremely complicated. But let's just stick to something as basic as this, and yet it looks simply divine. Now, just a quick heads up to let everyone know, the pattern only came to about here and there. To change this pattern, I would have had to have made it bigger, okay? So I couldn't do that. Instead, I put a row up there and a row there, and I put sides on. So I actually did 1 row, and in fact, I did a naughty no-no in crochet. For those of you who don't know this, I actually did double crochets along here, chained 1, I think it was 1, yes, and then single crocheted, chained 1, double, chained 1, single, and it's an absolute no-no to combine the stitches. Having said that, it doesn't look that bad. See, what happens is by combining the stitches, the corners tend to curve in a little bit, but this is not too bad, and we're going to attach this to the rest of our swatches anyway, so that will flatten it out, but it's still quite flat. I can't see that many bubbles at all. Look, it's not turned in or anything, so the pattern worked. It doesn't really, like the mathematical side of it's not supposed to work because this stitch is taller than this, but it kind of worked, so I'm not complaining. Anyway, I just wanted to let everyone know that it wouldn't measure, no matter how hard I tried, there's no way it was going to measure 20 by 20 or 8 inches by 8 inches, but it does when we add all the border row to it. Well, I say all, 4 sides of the border row, 4 different sides of the border row. Anyway, for this tutorial, you will need your measuring tape. Yes, you will, as we've been using the measuring tape all along. You'll need your yarn. You'll need 2 colours. Today we are using, let's have a quick look. We are using the same yarn we've been using all along. It's called Spot Saver USA style. It is a 10 ply here in Australia. It's Aran weight, if you will, or a number 4, okay? And this is the colour pink, yes, and I used the red. It's a little bit of a disheveled mess, but I used the red as well. And the hook size that it calls for is a 5mm. We actually are using a 5mm, and you will need, oops, let's bring that out, your scissors. You will need 2 stitch markers, you will need that naughty sewing weaving needle. So there you go. This is a basic pattern. It looks complicated, guys, but seriously, it's upside down for starters. Oh no, that was up the right way. Seriously, the only complication is doing your half doubles over here, and in actual fact, you just have to keep your tension pretty much the same throughout each row. All right. I also found these little edges a tad difficult, and they were sticking out, which is normal. They kind of stick out. But once I put the single crochet rows on both sides, they closed up, and you can see how it's all closed up. Okay, there's nothing sticking out there. and sadly you'll be weaving in ends. I hate to have to admit it. Well, there's some more bubbled effect. That side there was more bubbly than the other side, which I find really odd. But it doesn't matter, because once you put your border row on, it looks gorgeous. Now, we are going to be doing that right now. I'm not going to let you wait anymore. Let's just get started making swatch number 23. Good luck, guys. Alrighty, guys, let's start off by forming a quick slip knot, and that's grabbing your tail end, wrapping it around your finger once, twice, holding it there and holding it down there, passing your back loop halfway over, hold it there, passing the other loop all the way over your finger and popping your hook in, giving everything a tug. All right. Now the pattern works in a multiple of 6, and then we add 3 at the end. Okay, so you're going to be chaining 6 in groups of 6 and then add your 3. Now I'm going to be chaining 24, so let's all chain 24. Yarn over the hook and pull a loop through once. That's 1 chain. Yarn over 2. Yarn over 3, 4, 5. All right, so we're going to chain up our 24. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. All right, so there's your multiples of your 6. Yeah. Now we need to add another 3 chains for this pattern to work. So chain 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over your hook and get ready to put a double crochet in your 4th chain from your hook. So there's your first. You can see the little loops there. 1, 2, 3, and in that 4th one right there, you're going to pop your hook in that loop. We'll do it again nice and close so you can see it. All right, so there's your first one, 2nd, 3rd, and your 4th one goes right in that loop there. Top loop, pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2. That is your double crochet. Okay, yarn over your hook. You're going to do another one, but in the very next stitch. So find your next loop. You're already in that one there, so go to your next one, popping your hook in, pulling a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over through 2, yarn over through the last 2. All right, so that's the look you're going for. Yes, and that is pretty much this row. All right, so just pop a double crochet in every little loop across the row. All right, so I'm going to pop this on fast until we get to the end of this row, and I'll meet you there in a moment. Alrighty guys, how did you go? We have 1 and 2 left, and I'll show you the last bit so you can see it. There's your second last stitch there, and you'll know there's a last stitch because it sort of dangles down the bottom. Alright, so pop your hook in that very last loop there with your last double crochet. Now that is a knot, so don't pop anything in there. Now before you continue, yours truly did forget to put a stitch marker in the first stitch. So what we're going to do, go to the other end, there's your double crochet, yeah, and the 2 loops on top of that double crochet you see right there, that belongs to that stitch. We want our stitch marker to pop into the stitch just before that double crochet. So there's your 2 loops there, so your stitch marker has to go into those 2 loops next to it. All right. Okay, now the next row, or the start of the next row, is going to be the start of the repeat of your pattern. Okay, so let's start our next row, and our next row is going to be single crochets. First you chain 1, turn your work. Now you can turn it any way you like, as long as you remain consistent throughout your work. I usually turn it like I'm turning the page in a book. It's so much easier to remember that way. That's your very first stitch right there. In fact, see these little 2 loops here, little V's, you see? They look like V. They are your stitches. That's where you're going to be popping your hook. And you'll have your 2 loops on top and your little post down the bottom. All right? So, in that very first stitch right there, you're going to pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, grab your stitch marker, and that, my dears, is a single crochet. Very basic. All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to pop a single crochet in every little stitch you come to. All right, so pop one in the very next stitch, hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, straight into your next, pull a loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and so on. Yes, all the way across your row. All right, once again, I'm going to pop this on fast and I will meet you at the end of the row. Alrighty guys, that was a nice quick row, wasn't it? You've got one there, one before your stitch marker, and you're going to pop another one in that stitch marker, or one in that stitch marker, but not yet, because we are going to colour change. Grab your new colour. Now this is a colour that's going to give you that love heart look. You can use the reds, you can use whatever colour you like. There's no right or wrong colours to use here. Use whatever you like. All right, so now what we're going to do, that stitch marker right there, which I've done really tight, that stitch, you need to pop your hook in there. Now if your stitch is really tight, you can take out that stitch marker. Shh, don't tell the subscribers that it's really tight. It is. Keep them loose, guys. Don't keep them so tight, the chains. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through. Now normally you would put your yarn over and you would actually pull that loop through. We're not going to do that. We're going to drop the pink, grab your red, pop it over your hook. Today, Mary. Pull the loop through. Did you like that? Sorry. I get so sidetracked. Grab your pink and your tail and just give it a gentle tug. Then grab your working yarn. You've got it all holding at the back. Your pink and your tail's been held at the back here. Then you grab your working yarn. You go 1 and 2. That's it. Pop your stitch marker in. This is going to be tricky, so don't do them so tight. Mary. All right. So pop your stitch marker definitely in this row. Pop your stitch marker in. Turn your work like normal. In that space right there, I don't know if you want to grab your little tail ends and give it a gentle tug again. In the same space, you want to put 2 double crochets together. Okay, this is called a cluster stitch. So we're going to put 2 double crochets together in there. So holding your hook, pop it in the same stitch. Let's get a close up so you can see this. So you're holding your hook, the yarn over, popping in the same stitch, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through just 2 loops. Hold it there, yarn over your hook, in the stitch, pull a loop through. Now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, pull through just 2 loops. Yes, then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. All right, so a little bit of a tricky stitch, but not completely complicated. Okay, so chain 1 and 2. Now what you're going to do is count these little V's you've got here. You need to count 5 of them across, and you're going to pop another cluster of 3 together, not 2, but 3 together in your 6th stitch. So yarn over your hook, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, popping your hook in that 6th stitch there, pull a loop through, yes, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through, 2, yarn over your hook again, into the space, pull a loop through, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again, back into the space, pull a loop through, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn over, pull through 2. You've got 4. Yarn over, pull through all 4 loops on your hook. Chain 1 and 2. A tad tricky, but not completely complicated. We're going to do another one in the same stitch, another set, another cluster, if you will. All right, so yarn over your hook, in the stitch, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over your hook, in the stitch, pull a loop through, 4 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over again, in the stitch, pull a loop through, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 4. All right, that is actually the pattern all the way across. Okay, so it may look a tad difficult, but it's just repetitive, so you'll get it, trust me. Chain 1 and 2. Once again, you are skipping 2. I'm sorry, let's try 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and popping into your 6th stitch with your cluster set. Yarn over again, in the same stitch, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over for the 3rd time, in the stitch, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, 4 left, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops on your hook, chain 1 and 2. And you're going to do the same stitch in there as well. So yarn over, in your stitch, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, do that a 2nd time, yarn over, pull through 2, doing it a 3rd time, yarn over, pull through 2, 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, chain 1 and 2. That is it. You're doing chain 2 cluster sets, chain 2 cluster sets, and inside your cluster sets you're doing a chain 2. So it's just repetitive, yeah? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in your 6th one right there you're doing your cluster set. Okay. How's that? Yes, chain 2, 1 and 2. Do the 2nd set in the same space. You're doing 2 always across, yeah? All right, good. Yes, 1 and 2. What we're going to do here, we're going to pop a last cluster set here, pretty much like your first one, all right, where you actually do the full cluster set in there, but don't finish it off. And we'll do that together so you know what I mean. All right. So yarn over your hook. You made sure you chain 2, yeah? Yarn over your hook, pop your hook in your stitch with a stitch marker in. Let's take that out because that's going to be a little bit confusing in our way. All right. So you're pulling a loop through like normal. You've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 like normal. And you're doing your 2nd one just like normal, and you're doing your 3rd one almost like normal, so do that last bit normal, stop there. This is where we're going to change our colours. I'm sorry guys, making sure you're cutting the ends off after every time we change colours, sorry. Grab a tail and just pull it through all 4 loops. Now this is going to be a little bit loose and messy, so just grab your tail, hang on, bring that out a bit, grab your tail and the red, holding it in your hand at the back, just grabbing your working yarn, chaining 1, turn your work, the same way you've been turning all along, yep. In that same stitch, let's get a close up, you're going to pop a single crochet in the same stitch, so pop your hook. It's a little bit tricky. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook. I have to give it all a stretch now. Yarn over, pull through 2. Grab your stitch marker. You will definitely need that at the end of this row. Definitely. All right, from here we're going to chain 1, and in this space here you're actually going to be putting half double crochets, and they're going to be going in the stitches below but they're going over your red stitches. So yarn over your hook. You're going to skip that very first stitch you see there and go into your second pink stitch. Pop your hook in that stitch, pull a loop through, pull it up nice and tall. Don't pull it too tight because it'll be too small and your work will turn in, and don't leave it too loose or it'll be bubbled. So just like try to keep it the same height as the red. Okay, you've got 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, yarn over into the second stitch. There's your first one, actually second one, sorry, into your third stitch, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, one more time into your very next stitch, which is your 4th, pull up a loop, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, chain 1 and 2, and a single crochet in your chain space where your clusters are. All right, you are going to chain 2 again, 1, 2. All right, so we're going to do those stitches again. You've got your yarn over your hook. Remember to skip that first stitch, jump straight into your second, pull the loop through like so, nice and tall, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Yarn over, go into your third, pull a loop up nice and tall, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, yarn over again, straight into your 4th stitch, pull a loop through, nice and tall, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Now you are chaining 1 and 2, single crochet in the top of that little chain space there. Chain 1, 2, and yes, you're just doing that stitch again. So it does look tricky, but it's constant, so you can, it's just repetitive, yeah? So you got your yarn over your hook, skip that first one into your second one, like so. 3. I was out of frame there, sorry guys, into your third, sorry about that, and into your 4th. Right, you should be a genius at it now, yeah? And chain 1 and 2, straight into that chain space, yes? Now remember what we did here before we got to the other side. We had to do our set there. So chain 1 and 2 and complete your set. Miss that first stitch, go into your second and do your stitch. A little bit fiddly here because we're on the end of the row, and into your next, and into your next. All right, now you're going to chain 1, jump into that stitch marker stitch. Oh, if it's as tight as mine, you're going to have to take it out to get your hook in. So you're going to pop your hook in to that stitch marker stitch, like even without the stitch marker, it's still tight. All right, let's make sure we're in the right spot. No, we weren't. That's why. Let's go right into that stitch. It's very tight. Don't do your stitches tight, guys. And do a single crochet in there. Not a slip stitch, sorry, a single crochet. I think I said slip stitch before, but I meant single crochet, sorry. Now what you're going to do, you know what, we're firstly going to do is cut this red. Look at the red, because you're going to need it later. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. Grab your stitch marker. All right, so this is your 4th row. You had your first, which was a single crochet row, your second, which was your red row, your third, which is the one we just completed. This is your 4th row. So turning around and doing your 4th row. Now, these chains that we are actually in this stitch. All right, so just ignore the stitch completely. Put a yarn over your hook, and in that very first space you see, you're going to pop 1 double crochet just in the space, like so. All right, and now in all 3 of these half doubles, you're going to pop a double crochet. So here's your first one, yarn over your hook, in the stitch, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you're doing that in the second one. And again in your third one. Then 1 double crochet in that space, just the space. And 1 in the single crochet that's above that stitch, that's above our piece here. 1 in the space next to it. 3 across. There's the pattern. 1, 2, 3, and 1 in your space, 1 in your stitch, and 1 in the space. That's your pattern for the row. All right, you've only got 1 set to go anyway, so 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 in your space, and 1 in your stitch. And now you've got half a set to do. So 1 in the space, 3 across, 1, 2, 3, and before you pop 1 in that single crochet, you need to put 1 in the space. So 1 in the space, and then 1 in your single crochet, like so. Take that stitch marker out, and let's have a chat. What are we going to talk about, I hear you ask? That is your pattern. Single crochet row, yes, red row, the pink that goes half double over row, and your double crochet row. You are doing 1, 2, 3, 4 rows over and over and over again. Now, all you need to know is how many times do you have to repeat this set. You need to repeat this set 3 more times. So that once, twice, and 3 times. When you get to your very last double crochet here, don't cast off, because we are going to do a border row. And the reason is because our piece does not measure up. Look, it's 19.5 now. That's going to shrink. It will, oh, it's so far away. Sorry, guys. It will shrink to 7 inches or 18 centimeters. So you'll be about 1 centimeter or 2, maybe even 1 centimeter off. And that we need to fill in. All right. So what we're going to do at the end of this piece is to do a border. All right. So head off on your own, do your 3 sets, meet me back here, and we will finish off swatch 23. Okay. Head off on your own, and I'll meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, what we have now is one piece like this, and you may find a lot of these little red ones are kind of sticking down a bit. That's just because we need to, tighten everything up. Alright, so don't stress, that will close up. And the reason I'm saying that now is because this piece does not make 20 centimeters by 20 or 8 inches by 8 inches. It doesn't, okay? From here to here, it kind of makes 18 and hello, let's get close. 18.5 centimeters roughly, or 19 centimeters. It's about 7.5 inches really. And the other side is so small. It's about 17 or just under 7 inches. Now you're wondering, how are we going to fix this? I don't know. You like that? But what I can tell you is that what we might do, I didn't want to mess with this pattern because I know that when people see this pattern, they're going to want to make a blanket out of it. So I didn't want to mess with it. Now I'm going to mess with it just that tiny little bit after the square is done. Had we done another set, this piece would have gone over 20 centimeters, and this would have been a lot smaller. So what we're going to do here is we are actually going to do some border rows, right? We're going to do, when I say some, we're going to do a half-half, and you're wondering, oh, what does that mean? All right, we are going to start off by, because this is where you ended off with the last row was a double crochet row, yes? We're going to turn our work to the side, yeah? And along here, we are going to work single crochets, all right? So this is our first double crochet. We're not going to go in this stitch here. We're just going to put 2 single crochets in there, all right? So single crochet around your stitch, 1, single around your second stitch, 2. That is a single crochet row. So you have to pop something in there. Pop a single crochet in that stitch. Now you've got your red. Now, if you remember correctly, we chained 2 there. So you can either pop 1. It's probably likely and better for you to just put 1 single crochet in your red. Yes, skipping that bit there and just popping 1 single crochet in that single crochet row, 2 in your double, 1 and 2. A single in your single row and 1 in your red. All right, 1 in that single. You're not going in there because that's the stitch with your red stitch. You're going into your next stitch, which is a single with 1 single crochet. 2 into your next, 1 and 2, and 1 into that single crochet row. 1 into your red. Oh, mine's coming loose. We're going to weave those ends in, and I'll show you how to do that later. 1 into that little stitch there, 2 into your next, 1 and 2. 1 into your next, and 1 in your red. We might end up having to put 2 by the looks of it. 1 into your next stitch, 2 into your double crochet, like so. But you kind of have this little thing sticking out there. What I would suggest is taking that second one out and popping it in that stitch. So you're popping 1 in there and you're just popping 1 in there past your tail at the back there. And there you go. And that is your side done. All right, that's the side of your work complete. Now we're going to work along here, but we're not putting single crochets. Nuh-uh, because this is the shorter side. We're going to chain 1. So we've got our single crochet, chain 1, turn, and in that stitch there, you're going to be popping a double crochet. I don't know if this is going to work out. We're about to find out. Yarn over your hook, double crochet in the same stitch as your single crochet. It may not work, but we're going to try it. Double in your next stitch. Oops, that didn't work. Let's try that again. Double in your next. Hello, Mary. What is she doing now, they're saying? And double all the way across your row, and off we go. I'm going to pop this on fast for you. Alrighty, oops, I've split the yarn there. Of course I have, right at the very end. Now, we are at the end of the row here. Second last stitch. Let me get a close up for you all. And the last stitch is that little chain right there, like that. Pop your double crochet in there. Oops, in there. So what you have is this. Now, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I think once we attach it to the blanket, that curve will stop. But there you go. That's added a little millimetre, a couple of millimetres on this side, a few centimetres on there. We're going to turn it now and do the single crochets across this way. All right, so, well, we won't turn it yet. We'll chain 1 first and then turn. So chain 1, turn your work, and you're going straight back in the stitch right there with a single crochet, and then 2 into the next 1, and 2. Get it right, Mary. All right, now I'm not weaving in any ends here or crocheting over any ends because we're going to do that together. All right, so single in your very next single stitch, if I can get the end out of the way, single in your very next stitch, which is right there, and 1 single crochet in your red. Hello, that is a stitch we are working in, so we're not going to go into that one. We're just going to go into the next one with 2 single crochets, and there is a single crochet right there. Okay, so there's a difference between, if I can tighten everything up, I have to go over this end because it's really awkward this side. I knew one of the sides was going to be awkward. Okay, grab that little tail at the back. There we go. And now we can just single crochet into that stitch, single in your red stitch. Oh, I'm not even in frame, sorry guys. And 2 singles in your double. And there's that stitch again, a single in that single row. 1 single in your red, 2 in your double, like so. 1 single in your single row. So awkward with the tails. 1 in the red. Okay, what have we got here? We've got a single row and double. So a single in there, like so. And 2 singles at the end, 1 and 2. But what we're going to do is put our second one in that stitch with a stitch marker in it. Let's take out that tight stitch marker. Put it in the stitch with a stitch marker in it, guys. All right, so there we go. All right, so now you're going to chain 1. No, let's try that again. Chain 1, turn your work, and do a double crochet in the same stitch. If you can get that in that tight stitch like I can't. Don't you love it? And then a double crochet. Well, this is easy because all you're doing is double crocheting all the way across this row. Oops, let's have it, since that's come out, let's have a look at how it's turning out. All right, so too close. Okay, so that's, I know it's messed with the pattern a little bit, but it's better to mess with it this way than to mess with it the other way where we're adding extras and we're reducing in here somewhere. It's just better to add that extra border row. Mind you, it does cover up these ends so you can weave them in nicely later, which is fantastic, I say. Double crochet all the way across. And I'm going to pop this on fast for you, and off we go. Alrighty guys, how did you go? Let's just get a nice close-up just quickly on my last 2 stitches. Well, actually 1. There's the first one. The other one is the one with our single crochet in there. So we're going to do our double crochet. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try that again. Do our double crochet, chain 1, turn, and we're going to slip stitch into that single crochet. Let's just pull up a loop for a minute and have a quick look see at the piece. All right, so it has given it a lot more length. It might have given it too much length. Let's see. From there to there is, it's not even enough length. We could probably go around, if we went around and did another single crochet row. Well, let's get a close up for you so you can see that. If I went around and did another single crochet row, it would be too big. All right, so I would actually leave that. I would leave it. It's a couple of millimeters off. We can work on that. But for this side here, did it do anything much? Well, it actually made it exactly 20 centimeters or 8 inches. All right. It does have a slight curve to it. If you didn't want the curve, you could have added 2 chains in the corners. You could still go back and do that, take all this undone and add 2 chains if you didn't want that curve. I'm going to leave it because it'll be attached to the blanket and it'll kind of really stretch itself out anyway. I'm going to leave that there. What I do want to show you quickly is how to weave in some of these ends. Oh my gosh, does it not look gorgeous? I love this pattern. What? I do. I love it so much. All right. Now you've got plenty of leeway where you can weave these ends in. Let's try. We'll do a red. We'll do a red from here. All right. Just so that you can see how the red goes. All right. Let's get a nice close up. Right there. Okay. So we have crocheted a little bit over it, not a lot. You can actually gently split that stitch and go back into the red, making sure you can't see your needle from the front. And it's not visible, which is good. Pull that through like that. Then you can go back in another direction, but splitting the yarn from somewhere else. Don't go in the same space, otherwise you're going to unravel your work. So I'm just going to split the yarn from somewhere else and then go back in that direction. If you wanted to, you could go around somewhere. I find that a little awkward. It's better to work in the single crochet rows that we did there. All right, pull that loop through. Okay, and then you're going back the other way. And there you go. I think that's plenty. I really do think that's plenty. If you want to do more, you can. I'm going to leave it right. Oh, this is starting to get a little bit blunt for me. I've been working with them too much. And there you go. That's hidden away and your piece is simply divine. Yeah. That's it, guys. What I want you to do now is to weave in all these ends. Let's just hide them and not show. Oh, I forgot to cast off here. Oh, hello. Hello. If you wanted to do more chains, don't cast off here. Take your row undone, do the chains, get to this corner here, cut it, and get ready to weave in your gazillion ends. All right, but for me, I would say that is simply gorgeous, divine, and the rest of it. And I'm trying to hide all these ends to pretend like I'm just so good. Here we go, all good. And how gorgeous is this pattern? I mean, I call it hearts in a row. I'm not sure what it's called. I took it the name from, you know, kittens in a row. The same kind of thing, the same concept. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. This was Swatch 23. We are this close to finishing our swatch blanket. We have 2 more swatches to go. Cannot wait to show you those next 2 swatches. We will be doing a new yarn dance very soon. Probably not this weekend, but maybe next weekend. Oh, for the newbies who have just joined us today, a yarn dance is where you guys join me on my live at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons or 10 a.m. Saturday morning, Melbourne, Australia time, and you get a chance and an opportunity to choose the colours that we are making for our swatch blanket this year. You have 2 more chances left. The rest of the swatches have been made. This is Swatch 23. My name is Mary. This is Wow Crochet Designs. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things that you guys, well, pretty much already do for me. I love my hearts in a row. Yay! Ciao for now.